Hello and welcome to the February 2025 artist demonstration sponsored by the Society of West Coast Artists. My name is Jim Stinger and I am a member and a volunteer for SWA. And if you are not a member, we hope you will consider becoming a member. And it's easy to do just by going to our website, www.societyofwest-coastartists.com. And if you're a member but not a volunteer, we hope that you will volunteer for some of the things that need to be done to keep this society going. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our February artist who is going to demonstrate landscape painting in pastel. That's what it is. Okay. So it's Judy Magoon, and she lives in Northern California. While she enjoys working in many media, she is primarily a pastel landscape artist. She has been a participant in many shows and has had her work accepted in regional, national, and international competitions, garnering numerous awards, including Best Pastel in the Mendocino Open Paint Out, Blue Ribbon for the Quick Draw event at the Carmel Art Festival, and People's Choice Award at the High Sierra Plein Air event. She is represented by the Highlight Gallery in Mendocino. You can see more of her artwork on her website at www.jvmagoon, that's Magoon.com. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Judy to demonstrate her landscape in pastel. Judy.
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. So what I want to talk about before I start reading is how I get to this point. And you're going to select the subject that you love, hopefully, because you're going to have more success and you're going to have more enjoyment working on it. I go out painting with a friend of mine, and she always wants to do the mountains and the clouds and the vineyards, and I look over and see some scraggly bush, and that's what moves me. So do something you love to do. That's first off. Then most of us take pictures with our phones for our reference material. That helps you choose your subject. There's some other little tools you can use. This is called a view catcher, and it has little markations on it, so you know if it's a 9x12 that you're going to be painting on. So you can look and choose a good composition through this, any size that you're planning to use. Another tool is looking through red cellophane, because it takes the color out and it's more monochromatic. So you know you're getting a good composition, which to me is extremely important. And here's another little way of doing that, little dollar store glasses, and they're very effective. So you can get the color out of the way, which is important. Yeah. Let's see. Also on your phone, when you take a picture, you can look at your edit on there and use the saturation and bring it down to black and white, so that you know you're getting it. Do you know how to do that? Oh, maybe I can show you in a bit. And that's important for me always, to get the composition. It's much more important than the color. So then I do a thumbnail. And usually if I'm out, I just do a little thumbnail. But since we're here today, I did a little bit larger so you could see. And so it goes this way. This was my reference photo. So I did one in the horizontal, and I did one square. And I did do a painting in square format, which I will show you after we get done. But I'm going to do this horizontal. And this is a little bit longer than this, but I'm just going to squish it and make the composition work. So that's the thumbnail. And then Oh, that's another little trick. If you're taking a photo of what you want to paint, there's a feature on your phone. If you just tap the photo, a little square comes up with a sun next to it, and you can get an overexposed shot and an underexposed shot. That way, the shadows under the trees you're going to see the color and what the details in those dark areas if you overexpose it. And excuse me, yes. And if you underexpose it, you can see a lot more interesting shapes in the clouds or where the tree tips hit the sky. You lose that in the ordinary exposure. So that's a little helpful hint to have both of those working for you. Let's see. Oh, and if you're going to have a print made to work from your photo, I take the photo a little bit bigger than the composition I want to use so that when I get a print made, they don't crop off something somewhere. So you get a larger picture and then you can crop it to the size you want for your composition. Composition. You probably all know this. Center of interest should be at the intersections on the tic-tac-toe board, right? And so in general, these are all general rules. They all have exceptions, and at that center of interest, you want the darkest dark and the lightest light and the sharpest edges. So you can have softer things so that's where you're going to have your center. And don't have things equally spaced. You have 3 trees in a row. Move one of them a little closer, one of them a little farther away, so things aren't evenly spaced. There's interesting dynamic going on there. Don't have lines coming to the corner. If you have a road, don't have the road end here or the river end in a corner. Have it end here or here, because you don't want to have right at the corners anywhere. Same with a hill or something. And hillsides, if you're going to have some hills, have a rule for me is not to have the hill run down off the edge so that your eyes aren't led out of the painting scene. If you're trying to really depict something you're seeing and it is downhill, sometimes I'll put a little fake hill behind it in a light color just to keep you in the painting, or maybe put a tree up through to stop you from running off. Something like that. And then have a way to lead in so that some light you can come in here, say, or you can come in so there, if you have like a field of grass here, instead of having a solid band, have one area where the grasses are a different color, or there's some rocks leading in, something to break that up. So there isn't and even like in the sky, if it's a blue sky straight across, maybe have a cooler blue or a brighter blue on one side and have a variation go across so there's some interest. And then let's see. Oh, that's another little interesting thing is if you look along the edge, each edge should have some variety, and that again is like the sky having a variation in it. So it's not just one simple flat thing on the edges. Makes it more interesting. And a couple of things about color. You probably know for distance, it's cooler in the back and warmer colors in the foreground. And if you introduce some color, like in this one, there's a touch of green. If you're going to have that, try to find somewhere else to introduce that green. Maybe put a little green here, maybe a touch here, something so there's some harmony, so it's not just standing all by itself. Okay, now we've got the scene we like, we've got the reference, And we're getting ready to start. This is 500 sanded pastel on board. I use a variety of pastels, Rembrandt, Unison, Sennelier, just anything. I mean, all of them are, you know, some are softer than others, obviously. And you kind of save the softer ones for later on in the painting. I also have a little brush that you can use to maybe soften a sharp, heavy line, or maybe just try and take something off completely and rework it. So I like to have a little brush. I like to have a stump for making fine lines and for carving around things. I'll show you how that works. And then handy wipes are nice too, because you get pretty dirty doing this. Okay, now, first thing I'm going to do is lay out my design on here, and I'm usually just use like a stump or a new pastel, which is, new pastels are harder than your general pastels. And so I'm just going to make marks on this water line here, just to generally where I want it to be. And then I'm going to say I want my, now this was a little far out for me. I wanted to bring this in a little bit so the center of interest was a little bit closer. So I'm going to move these trees in just a little bit. And they're going to be here. There's just a marcation where they're going to be. And then that reflection is going to come down opposite there. Then I'm going to mark where this dark is going to be, and these roughly, just a rough thing. Now I'm going to just look for the dark values. There's going to be dark value here that's reflected, and a dark medium value here, dark value here, and these darks here, a little bit here. Okay, and then I've got that, and then I'm going to put in some of the local color. Now, sometimes if I was doing a bunch of bushes or something and they were all green, I might use a purple or red underneath for laying in the background, which makes the green punch out. But I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to use the local color. So also, I would usually be drawing pastels out of all my pastels, but since I've already done this image, I've chosen some of those I've already worked with, and I will usually have them here. So I don't have to keep looking for them once I've decided on the colors I want. So, okay, we got kind of a purpley gray back here. Lay that in. And here. And then I've got kind of a pinky over here. And as I say, if I put a color somewhere, I like to kind of move it around so that it isn't isolated. A little bit in here. This might be a little softer color. No, that's wrong. Yeah, I didn't like that color, so I can take off a little bit of it. What's this color? Oh, that's better.
Judy, did you want to say anything about the paper you're using?
Yes, it's a 500 grit pastel board, sanded pastel paper. Okay. And since this is going to be the lightest light area here, I'm going to not put anything on there just yet. Some blue grays here. Soft pastel, I don't want to use that yet. Orange. That to be lighter. Some of these lights. And a yellower one. Okay, this is all I'm going to do before I do a little alcohol wash. So this is 70% alcohol from the drugstore. And just take a soft bristle brush and it just kind of fills in a little bit of the tooth of the paper. So it saves some pastel, but it also saves you some time. But it takes away the white marks on the paper if you just have a little something underneath. And it's just a thin layer.
I do have a question in the chat.
Mhm.
If I may ask, how do you manage the dust? I find it difficult to use soft pastels indoors since it is so dust prone.
There are products that like fans, you can sit here and it will suck the dust. I personally don't use those. I should do as I say, not as I do. But don't flip the dust around. I mean, when I'm cleaning up, I'll go outside and clean up my easel, and when I'm through with my painting, I take it outside and hit it to get the loose pastel off. But it doesn't really fly around that much, I don't find. I'm just gonna get this a little bit covered. And that's probably good enough. Okay. Now, I brought my hair dryer, so if you want to plug your ears for a minute, I'll try this. It dries really quickly anyway, but it takes a time. Oh, and you'll see that it's darker when it's wet with the alcohol, and as it dries, it lightens up again. That's pretty good.
Is your paper mounted on the board?
This is, I don't usually, but I did for this, so I wouldn't have to fool with another board to tape it
Yeah.
on. Okay, so I'm gonna place some of these trees. Again, I had an idea where they were. I don't want to use that dark of a dark though. There's one back here. Okay, cool. And of course, it doesn't have to be exactly like your reference. You can make it any way you want. Sure.
Where is the sea?
I think it's on Cache Creek down towards the dam, probably when I was kayaking. But it could have been from a boat on the lake shore at Clear Lake, because I live in Lake Ed.
Okay.
Okay, we got some of the foliage and stuff in here. I need to go back in here and put this shoreline again. I'll just use this. I'm gonna put a marquee. I wonder where that lightest light's gonna be. It's a light up. Yeah. Turn this a little bit if I can. Glare. Dry. Oop, that's a very soft pastel. I don't want that yet. I'm going to mark where these trees are now. This is the dark behind this tree. And this is the bottom of the tree trunk. The tree. Give it a little bit of
You want to hide my picture?
this area. Darker in here. The tree that comes up. And so you can see you can get a pretty thin line even with a big fat thing like this just by turning it on its side. So I'm just making these areas, the bigger areas, kind of filling them in and overlapping different colors. And I keep a variety.
Should it be going over again with alcohol or?
No.
Done with that?
Yeah, I'm done.
It's-
Yeah, it's just to kind of cover the paper and oh, there's this little piece of round over here that has a touch of that green too. So let's indicate that. And this comes down here. The bottom we have them. And this has a little bit of And here. So I had this little green I'm gonna touch here. That's too dark. It's too light. I'm gonna use it though. There's a touch of green here. So I am going to put a touch of green in here. And in here. There's the waters. You're always asking yourself, is it lighter? Is it darker? Is it cooler? Is it warmer? When you're picking up pastel. Area here. A lot of dark. At this point, I'm just trying to get everything covered before I do any real detail. Move this over. I'm gonna put an extra tree in here. Something orangey in here. All right, under here. The sun is hitting that. There's something peeks through over here. Oh, that's another thing is I will step back a lot and see where I am. This. This. I'm gonna go ahead and use this. Advantage. No, I can just put those wherever I want them. I'm gonna cool this down. Red. Mhm. I'm gonna put another tree back here too. Okay, now I've got this tree here, and I'm just gonna give it a little volume by adding some light on this side. Back to the- And now we've got this tree, which kind of comes in front of this one. And it has this is the area behind the tree. And then that's the bushes in front of it. And I'm gonna settle that back there a little bit. I want it to be quite so blah. I want to give it a little something going on back there. And this is going to be above the bush. This tree. Now, I was going to show you also, how are we doing time-wise? Oh, we're in good shape. So we've got this tree coming out of the bushes there. And we've got another tree back here. And we've got all these guys. What we've got. Lighter bluer gray back here. You're just building up and building up. A little bit of that green. Need a cooler green. It goes along this back ridge. Just a little bit of that here. And a little yellow here. Where it comes underneath. Okay. So now I've got these guys. And I'm gonna delineate them a little more. And this is one of the ways you can use this, the stump is to pull some branches off like this, and it leaves a very fine, really fine. And it gives you all this kind of twigs. I'll do more of that later, but now I want a little bit of light in here. And light back here. I'm just pulling all these colors from above down into the water. Again. And then to say you've got a branch that you think is too clunky, you can carve into it to make that a thinner line too, with the background color. That's another way to make it. Fine line. Give some of these guys a little punch. And give a little, have this one come into the trunk. Have some dark on this side of it. Anyway, this one. I don't like how this is going down here. Correct that. A little more of this orange over here. One of these guys in. Pull some of these. Another way to make fine lines is to roll the end of this, and it kind of gives it a real organic shape. You can get a nice fine line with that too. Yeah. And you usually want to do those more in the foreground and the softer things in the background. So now we're gonna get this dark guy in. Oh, I also usually keep a little scrap here to check color. Some of these get a little dirty and you can tell what you're doing. There. Purple. See, I gotta get this in here, don't I? Well, I see I've got three that are kind of mirroring each other, so I want to change that. Have this one come up a little. This one can end here. This one. No, that darker purple. Mhm. Mhm. That's a soft one. And this Bunch of twigs on them. Yeah. Camera. And I'm constantly squinting a lot too. Top of this gets later. I also try to work all around instead of in one area. So kind of bring it all up together. tooth on this paper, you need very little pressure. To get the pigment working for you. Be warmer. Warm.
We have an hour to go.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It's up to her.
Do you need a break?
I could probably keep going, but I'll just step back for a minute and see where I am.
So much better than what we see on the TV.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, every time you take it from the picture you're taking to the picture on your phone to the picture on your laptop, they're all different. Just kind of,
Yeah, what's on the screen is more of a match on your reference.
oh, you're right. Huh. Well, and also I have to tell you, this is was the original photo that I had the print made from. And look at the colors in this one.
Wow, yeah. Beautiful.
So I'm getting closer to that, actually. So let's keep going.
Did you do pastel?
I need a bit.
Uh-huh.
I need to get rid of everything.
I want this to be darker.
Oh. Yep.
Get a little body on it. Whoop, too much on that one. Get some better shape in these over here. Yeah, you come in with a background color and clean up some of the. Lots of stuff going on over there. It's to be darker under here again. Just put some variety on the tree. The darks and lights. So it's not just one line. This guy needs a lot. So we're gonna put some of these other twigs and branches along here. And refine this guy a little bit. So it has some light on it. Pink, kind of. Branch here. Now, this was this one. This guy is much closer to this, and now I've got it right in the middle here between these two. So I'm going to take this out and move it back. Then I can move it around.
You made it disappear.
There's still plenty of tooth on here for me to fill that in more, so. I'm gonna move this guy back over here. So over here, we still have purple, but that soft green come across it. And then browny purple back here. Mhm. As those go up, we're gonna lighten them up. As they get up into the light, we're gonna use a lighter color. Hmm. Indicate some branches and it's gonna come in front. Purple. Mhm. Off of those guys. That next to this trunk. Right here. Here we go. Okay, we need some light here to show these guys off. I don't know why I think they're guys, but different color. Blue. Okay, get it right. Mhm. Okay, then. I'd like to have this be softer. Another tool that I watched someone use that I've never used is an eraser. Have you seen that? To make soften foliage,
Just an eraser.
just an eraser. Huh?
That's it. We didn't see.
Get the shape more. Okay. And then again, I want to put some highlight on this and some of the light branches. Different colors. And then we got to bring in some of these lights, but let me get a couple more darks in there first. And it's just back and forth and back and forth. These bits in. Yeah, and at some point, you start looking more at the piece you're working on and less on your reference, just to see what it needs rather than Some of these light branches in too. Oops. Hmm. Let's see. That's another thing is wiping off your pastel on a rag in between so you're not dragging the colors in. Starting to get everything covered here. Okay, I've got to work on this whole
minutes to go.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna, clean this up a little.
Another question, Jack,
Mhm.
beautiful work, is it possible to get a list of your supplies?
List of my supplies.
That's a
I,
broad question.
yes. I usually use a UART pastel paper. This is a 500. Actually, I like a little finer one, 700, but 4, 5, 6, 700. Pastels, Rembrandt, Schminke, Sennelier, whatever I see when I go to an art supply store. Um,
Do you have a website?
I do have a website.
Any of that?
No, but that's a good idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right,
There
thank
you
you.
go.
Thank you. I could do that. And thank you for the compliment. I'm going to break this up. Okay, now a trick that I can't think of it. Clark Mitchell
Yeah.
taught me, which I'm going to do here, is I want to make sure that line is good before I do it. Don't like this, but I can do that after. Is for water, you just paper so drag down to get a reflection.
You must have strong skin.
Well, like a guitarist, right? You
Yeah.
build up. Yeah.
Yeah, Clark Mitchell did a demonstration for SWA at my shop.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was amazing.
Oh, well, I
how
watched one
much
of his.
dust there was.
Oh, really?
Colorful dust
Oh,
everywhere.
really?
And I've been watching you and I don't see any.
Well, you know, I use a lot more Rembrandt, which is not quite as soft.
Okay.
So that's probably part of it.
Look at what a difference that made.
Now we have to. I'm gonna do something over here with the top of this. And we have to make a couple of marks here, just because I think it needs it. I want to do something over here. Oh yeah, I want to put in a lot of these. Well, color. Maybe this. Put in some coming down that are light. That's not light enough. Yes, we hear you. Oops, did my sleeve just go across there?
It looks like a light gray color.
This color?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool blue-gray. It's just some of these really dead branches that are, you can get some contrast through the darks. And there's quite a bit of them, but I'm just gonna suggest a few. I'm gonna use a purple too. Very blue on the other. This. Oh, oh, and then rather than make one solid line, if you break it up, it's a little more interesting. I don't like that. Got something right here I don't like either. Put a little pink in there.
Easy, that tool just helps you make a lot of branches,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of noise.
Yeah, right. Little something here. Okay. Kind of a yellow one in here too. Off of these. Okay, and we also want to bring something across on here. So I'm going to, first of all, try and get this shoreline straighter. We can go from there. Whoops. We'll just go over that. Okay. Yep. Meant to do that. Okay, and we're gonna come across here with some, still want this a little bit softer here. Purple over here. One here. And there. I'm okay with that. A little more dark here. Okay, and we're getting pretty close, aren't we? Okay, now we need that touches of light across the water. Guy here. Make this yellow over here. Hmm. Blue over here. And the other thing I like to do is when I get, oh, I don't know this guy. Very close is When I think I'm done, I'll leave it up and then walk by it for a few days. And then I'll spot things I want to correct. And also another good thing is that orange. Looking at it in a mirror. I mean, that is huge. You really see it. You see it in reverse. Like stepping back, you see it in a different way, and looking in a mirror, you see it in a different way. What's that? Yes, yes. Yeah.
I love looking at everything in the mirror. You see, rhythms and shapes.
Right. It's
That
like, how
looks-
did I not see that?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
15 minutes ago.
Okay, well,
So do you set any, it's pastel, do you do a spray
No.
or nothing?
no,
That's amazing.
And it doesn't fade away.
no.
What was so fun was to see how heavy you were hitting the paper. And then sometimes you were barely touching. paper.
Oh, right.
It was- From over here, I was able to see all of that.
I guess that I will hold. It prevents from fading.
What's that?
I thought, I was thinking maybe the alcohol that you use, it prevents from fading.
No, all that does is separate the binder. So I mean, it's the same pigment as oil or watercolor.
Must
So,
be the quality also, the pastel, that doesn't make it fade away. You don't have to seal it or.
oh, so it doesn't fall, you mean, or?
No, she's talking about how it doesn't fade.
So it wouldn't fade any more than oil paint or watercolor, really. It's the same pigment.
Yeah.
It's just a different binder.
Probably the kind of pastel that's more solid or something than.
It's the same pigment. It's just whether or not they use oil to make oil paints, or I think it's like gum arabic or something to make these. And the less binder, the softer the pastel. Yeah. So we're,
Look at that, it's beautiful.
so we'll
Yeah.
probably,
When you first started, it was like the very first half hour, it was so cool, it looked abstract. And then when you put the alcohol on it, it made it even more abstract, but it pulled it together. And then you started doing some of the trees and you started working and within 10 minutes, it was like, it totally changed, it was amazing.
I'm glad you enjoy it.
Yeah,
I also just brought this because that's another thing I do is stick it in a frame, and it helps you see it too. It
Yeah.
helps you, and oh no, I don't want to leave that or whatever. So it helps you.
look at that, yeah, beautiful.
Yes. Probably even now. I know right now there's obviously things I would do to change it, but 2 hours.
Yeah. So, how, when you're,
gonna compare with the other one, just look at this.
Right,
It's
right,
always finished.
right. For fun, I did a practice on this before I came, right? And it was the square format. And it's, see how similar they are, but it's a little farther along. I spent more time on the finished piece, so, which was kind of fun because to do the horizontal versus the square, and
Yeah.
with the same.
so
You might
how
choose.
long, Did you work? your
This-
square?
I probably did 2 2-hour sessions and then walked by and
Yeah.
spent another 15, 20 minutes here. and there,
Yeah.
You know, so it was probably closer to 5 hours.
Yeah.
than, 4 or 5 hours. But you can see you get much more
Okay.
finished.
Someone in the audience is asking you to hold it up.
The,
Yeah.
oh,
Here, why
oh.
don't I hold it up and then you can
Oh.
talk about.
okay, well, yeah, Jim's gonna get it going. To go over a little there. So Jim, let's see,
Guy.
Guy, hey Guy, tip it this way a little. I think there's a little glare on. Nah, yeah. No, but, well, you really can't see it through you can't tell on there.
Oh, because there's the
Yeah.
glass.
That
that's
looks
what-
good.
It's close.
Mhm.
We can see it.
Yeah, it's close. But you can see that it's a little more refined and finished. But it's just the square format, which that was kind of fun. You're good. You're off duty.
Okay.
Stay there forever, bud. So any other questions? Or we?
Yeah.
Good.
What do you think? Look at the pastels.
Oh, sure. Yeah, please.
That's so much better than your reference photo.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh,
and you can feel this paper. It's like sandpaper.
oh, yeah, it is.
So it holds a lot of tube, holds a
Oh,
lot of
that-
layers.
That's what you painted on?
Yes,
Oh,
Yes, so it
I
really-
see. No wonder.
yes,
stays.
yes.
It's texture.
Mhm.
That's why it
Mhm,
stays.
mhm.
I didn't understand that part.
Okay, well, I think we'll call that a wrap.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Judy.
thank you.
I was
Thank
wondering
you.
what the J was for in your name.
Oh, and
J-
Judy, yeah.
Judy.
I've been signing my name that way on my work for
Yeah,
40
Whatever.
years.
so this is.
And that, see how